Hey everyone, there's my dogs going in the background again. But yeah, let's carry on with let's carry on with the next part of the solution to Fitbits. And the next part of the solution is quite interesting because, let me just fix that, sorry, there we go. The next part asked for the taxable income of each of the two employees. Now, you've done it from the side of Fitbits. Now you need to do it from the side of the employee. For Mrs. Semenyo, you're given an amount to start with. The next thing you got to do is to say, well, how do we do right of use of motor vehicles? We take the value of the vehicle, the determined value. We multiply it by 3.25 or 3.5%, depending on if there is a maintenance plan, and multiply it by the number of months. Just remember, maintenance plan will make the amount lower. Why does this make sense? Well, cars that are sold with a maintenance plan are generally more expensive. Therefore, you can include them at a lower percentage. Then what you do is you say, well, how many kilometers are business? In this case, 600 out of the 2,400. So use that ratio and it gives you a deduction here. Then you can also deduct insurance and you can deduct fuel. I'm just thinking as I'm doing this, the insurance costs will be perfect. It's the amount that you spend multiplied by non-business kilometers over total kilometers, and your fuel costs is going to be your private fuel costs. So remember, you've already had the reduction for business above. I have a feeling I haven't updated the rate. You'll get this rate, the 110.6 from the table. I might still have that from last year's, but you just put in the right rate. And when you work it out, you see that these amounts are all bigger than the 16, so there is no inclusion. For the Bravery Award, just remember it's in cash, therefore it's not a fringe benefit, therefore there can be no reduction. So the full 7,500 goes into her taxable income. The primary residence, key things here. I gave you the proceeds. I said that they were 4.5 mil, but I said that they were after commission. Now, proceeds need to be before commission, okay? So what you have to do is actually multiply it back, add the commission back, and you get proceeds of 5. The reason you have to do this is that selling expenses are added to the base cost. They're not taken off of proceeds. The effect will be the same, but you do need to do it properly. So those selling costs are added into the base costs, as well as the improvement that she affected. So that gives you the 600. Sorry, the dogs are going crazy. And when you add this all together, base cost of 2.9. The difference is your gain of 2.1. But what you need to think about as well is that any primary residence gets a 2 million rand personal use exclusion. Now that stays 2 million. But what you need to think about is that a portion of this is actually going to be used for trade. Now, if you're using it for trade, what you have to think is to say, well, what we've got is a full gain of 2.1. And for 2 of the 11 years that she lived there, she used 25% of it for trade. When you do this, you'll see that an amount of 131,250 is actually going to be the amount. Now I'm just having a quick check here. That says 2 out of 11. That says 3 out of 12. I can't actually remember which one it is. So just do me a favor, go have a check. And what you will see is that however many years it was used, actually let's go have a quick look and see. Here we are. Since the 1st of March 2017, so until March 2018, March 2019, okay, that will be 2 years. And when did she sell it? 28th of Feb 2020, so that's 3 years, which means that this should probably be 3/12. That's right for the number, as you can see in the formula. This is going to be your portion that is trade. Now here's something very interesting. If this portion is trade, that means the portion that is not trade is actually 1.968 million. What this means then is that this, your 2 million, can only be equal to, at most, the portion that was not trade. The net effect, this is the amount that's going to go into your CGT calc. The other things, gold coins sold to connected persons, so at market value. There's no exclusions because it's gold coins, so they're not personal use. You add it all up. Okay, when we add it all up, you'll see it is just this portion plus this portion, not that because that is exempt, less your annual exclusion included at 40%. Great. Hope you can see this is quite interesting how we can do the Fitbit side of one and the Semenya or the individual side on the other. For Mr. Sam, we start with the 300,000. We also see there's a fringe benefit because he's got a low interest loan. The benefit will be the official rate less whatever you actually pay. So in this case, the 7.75 minus the 2 means there's a benefit of 5.75% per month. Well, not per month, in total, and it's for half the year. So when you work that out, you'll see your benefit. For the long service award, there's no reduction because for an initial period, it needs to be 15 years. And then after that, any unbroken period of 10 years. In this case, it was just 10 years at the start. And for the termination benefit, as I said, we might not have done this in too much depth, but what you need to be looking at here is this amount is something that he gets when he retires. It's a once-off amount, and the question is you have to ask, is it going to be a severance benefit? Okay, so there's some extra information here. I'm not going to make you stress about it because there's an amount that comes from the pension fund as well. So have a look at that. The key things here though, when he gets his pension every month, that has to go into gross income. Add them up, taxes per the tables, less your rebates. I'm just noticing these should have been updated as well, but you know the process. And yeah, plus the tax on the retirement benefit that you don't need to stress about for now, gives you the total tax payable. The important things here, most definitely remember, for Mr. Semenya, I asked just for taxable income. For Mr. Sam, I asked for tax payable, so you have to go that extra step and start to do the rebates and taxes per the tables. Always look out for that because often when it's asking for tax as per the tables or normal tax payable, if you leave out the rebates, especially the medical and your primary and secondary rebates, that can be quite a few marks that you're losing out on. So don't forget that. Okay. There's your communication marks. Logical argument, as I said in the previous video, just means don't talk nonsense. And clear layout means you have at least 2 columns. Okay. Now, I'm hoping that explains Fitbits a little bit more. If you got questions, once again, use the forum or email me. I think it was quite a difficult question. What I actually did was I set it 3 years ago, and then 2 years ago, if I remember right, or it could have been last year, I actually took the same question, changed the names, and I think doubled the values and gave it as test 1. And people didn't do that well, even though they had it as a TUT. And the parts that they did do well in, they just remembered and hadn't actually understood. So a very important thing for you to get at is to actually stop and take a bit of time to understand what's going on in the scenario and understand how something would work when you look at it from both sides and see if you understand it that way. Cool. Other things, I'm going to upload the material from the workshops as one big batch, and I'll send it to the other subjects to do the same. And yeah, enjoy the weekend. Next week is supposed to be holidays, so I understand if you want to take it a bit more chilled. I'll still be messaging with some interesting stuff each day, but if you want to chill on the work a little bit, you can. I definitely suggest you catch up on everything you missed or aren't sure about from the first term. And then from the Monday afterwards, we're going to have to get heavy back into the work again. From then, I should have a couple more resources, a couple more lecture videos that will help us do this online thing together. As always, send me any suggestions, comments. I'm going to try add these to YouTube now as well, just because it might be easier to view on some of your phones rather than having to download them. But otherwise, have an awesome weekend, guys.